Always talking about how fortunate and lucky I am to have incredible guests on. But one of the guys who's actually walking by right now um, is a slide this way a little bit, Richie. There you go. What's up, man?
What's up,
All
Rick?
right. So I got Richie Barber here with me, who is my special guest, former hitting coach, and they spent some good time together in high school. But for me, this is kind of a treat because when I met this young man, it was in probably one of the strangest places you can meet somebody. Um, but I'm talking about Ryan Bliss, Major League Baseball player, um, collegiate standout at the University of Auburn, um, and just all around incredible human being. I can't wait to really get into the program and introduce Ryan to the world before the Major League Baseball Network gets to do it and before NBC and ABC and Fox and all the rest of these big channels get to introduce them. So, Ryan, welcome to the program. It's good to see you. It's been a long time, but I'm glad you're here, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited about this. What an introduction.
All right. So, Ryan, if you could think back to, God, it's been quite a few years when we first met. You remember where that was?
You'll have to take me back. You have to remind me. That was.
It was the weirdest place.
Wasn't it at the? It was at the nail salon, wasn't it?
It was at the nail salon.
Yeah, we were getting pedicures. Yeah,
we were getting pedicures. That's
yeah,
right.
We were getting pedicures at the nail salon.
And then
I remember that.
And then we started having a conversation about baseball, and I found out that you and I had one extremely important thing in common, and we'll get into that in a little while, but we were both huge Red Sox fans.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's hard these days to be a Red Sox fan.
It is. It's very hard. It's one of those things where it's like I can't show it. Maybe it's back there, but for the most part, I got to stay more of I'm a Mariners fan right now. Big Mariners fan, so we got to stick with that. But at the time, at the place, and it was right.
Absolutely. So, this show is all about family, faith, exploring the human side of people. And I'm very blessed because I get an opportunity to engage with super athletes, those who are in the 1%, right? Because I think a lot of kids that have ambitions growing up to play sports always think about, like I did in my backyard, bottom of the ninth, three balls, two strikes, two outs, game 7 of the World Series, and I'm facing the most fierce, competitor on, at the plate. And so, a lot of us had these images and these things that we go through, but I want to explore, the mindset of a super athlete, of, somebody like yourself who was able to achieve a dream that you set for yourself early on in life. So take me back to when baseball first became a passion.
Yeah, I've been playing baseball since I was 3. I think at a young age is one of those things where you're just playing because it's fun. I mean, that's usually how it goes. I think it was around 13 years old it truly, truly became a passion. That was the first time I started playing like really, really competitive travel baseball. That was the first time I saw that I could probably continue to do this or want to pursue to continue to do this. First time that my talent actually probably stood out against other talent. It was just one of those things where before, like I said, I was playing all three sports. I was playing basketball, I was playing football, I was playing baseball. And around 13 was when I don't remember where, but somebody was like, hey, you should probably just focus on baseball. I guess they saw something differently. Where at the time, I was just playing because it was fun. Like I said, I got to 13, and it was more of those things like, all right, well, I see that I really love this, and I see that I kind of want to do this for a long time. So I would say around that time.
So your father was an athlete,
yes,
and a pretty good athlete.
That's what he says. That's what he says.
That's what he says. That's what he says. You know, your father and your mother are going to be listening to this podcast. So
yeah, I got my words.
So, how much of an influence? Because I know Rhonda and Isaiah very well, and I want to get into a little bit exploring about your childhood because, knowing your parents the way that I do, I see how they have the ability to have such a positive impact on your life and the things that they were involved in and how they kind of, made sure you were moving in the right direction, not necessarily pushing you, but making sure that they were there as a support mechanism. But going back to your father, how much of an influence in your sports life?
I would say it's all the influence, honestly. He was always there. He was always willing to go put extra work in, willing to go practice, willing to talk about or argue about whatever just happened in the game. I think he made me to where my mind is now competitively. And, sometimes it's tough because I expect to go 6 for 6 every day. And I think when playing this game, I think if you all know baseball, that's just not going to happen. And with him, he's put that competitiveness, that fight, that willing to be the best. And I think I give a lot to him because that was a big influence. From a young age, he was always on me. Hey, this is how we do this. This is how we do that. This is what it looks like. How to be even a great person, a great man. I mean, the best thing he told me was like, I can't give you a lot or everything, but I can give you a good name, so don't mess it up. So that was a big one that stuck with me, and he just taught me so much throughout. And like I said, he has almost all the influence on my mindset and how everything goes.
A lot of professional athletes, work extremely hard, and I know you're a hard worker. We talk, offline. I try to leave you alone during the season. Every once in a while, I get an opportunity to watch you play and, kind of talk about your raking and your defensive prowess out there in the field. But how much of your ability do you attribute to a God-given talent as opposed to having to work harder than everybody else? I know you're going to talk about, and a lot of professional athletes talk about, hey, I have to work harder than this guy or that guy. But how much of your athletic ability do you attribute to pure God-given talent?
I mean, I think a lot of athletes would be lying if they said there's not a lot. I mean, to me personally, it's a lot. I mean, God-given talent. I mean, my speed, I've had that since I was young. Hand-eye coordination, I started with that. I may have worked on it to strengthen it, but I mean, it's a lot of God-given talent, and I just used that talent to work harder to make my talent better, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to say I started from scratch and just built this. No, I didn't. I pray a lot and I thank God almost every day for the ability that he gave me. I mean, that's just it is what it is. But there is a lot of hard work to help me progress this, the ability. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
for that, I think that would be, how I look at it.
Absolutely. And I love when I get an opportunity to talk to, athletes like yourself who are willing to talk about their faith, willing to talk about, the impact that, God has on their life and the abilities that, you were blessed with. Because listen, it's no secret. We live in a very stressed world today. There's a lot of things going on, and I'm not trying to get into a political conversation because I'm just never willing to put somebody into an awkward situation. But I know you're a God-fearing man. I know you have your walk with the Lord, and whether it's in a church with four walls or it's on your own, getting into the book and spending time reading, or just having those one-on-one conversations with the Lord. I know that's where your heart and your head is. And that's what I think keeps you grounded and is going to keep propelling you forward in not only your professional career, but in your personal life as well.
For sure. Yeah. It's in this lifestyle, it's kind of tough going to church. On Sundays we play usually a day game, 1:00. So it's sometimes it's not in the books. So you got to find ways around it. For me, that's just having one-on-one with him straight up. I take my time at night before the games. I really just try to, have my peace and talk to him and just thank him. For the most part, it's really just thanking him and just
giving thanks.
Yes, giving thanks, being blessed. I mean, I look around and I'm playing in different cities every week. I'm turning around. I'm playing a game that I've been playing since I was 3, and I'm still doing it at this level where I told myself that I wanted to be at when I was 13. So for me, I wouldn't be here without him. I thank him for that. I thank him for good health. That's the biggest part of this game too. We play 160 games a year. We play every single day for 6 months. So, I mean, it's just giving thanks, and I'm just so very blessed that I'm able to do this.
You ever pinch yourself and think, man, I'm lucky. I'm getting paid to play a game.
Every now and then, I will catch myself, first game of a series in a new city. I'll look around and say, gosh, like I am really doing this for a living. They're literally paying me to go out here and be a kid. It may not feel like that, but sometimes I catch myself just looking around, thinking about it when I see my new bat come in, or if I just have like a moment where my teammates, where this is something fun, I sit around and like, guys, we're really doing this as our job.
Yeah.
This is really our job. And I sit back and think about it. It's like, I couldn't be more happy. I couldn't be more blessed.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business, and I know you've gotten an opportunity to experience the business side of that already at such a young age, and we'll get to that. But I want to go back to your senior year of high school, and I know it's a while ago.
Yeah.
And you were looked at as one of the premier players coming out of high school. You were slated to go into the draft, and part of the decision was, depending on what round you were selected and some other contributing factors, would have helped to make a determination as to whether you went straight to the major leagues or whether or not you accepted the scholarship that you were offered to Auburn University. And I guess my question to you is, had you gone in a higher round the first time you entered the draft, do you think you would have gone to the pros and you would have bypassed college?
I wouldn't say a higher round. For me, it was all about the signing bonus.
Okay.
For me, it was I had a lot of education, a lot of people around me and my family. I didn't think it wasn't much about the round. It was more about, is this money going to be life-changing? Is it worth risking not going to college and getting 3 more years of school, 3 more years of experience for $200K? Like, was it, when you really think about it, and $200K before taxes,
Right.
tax. So was it really worth it? And in hindsight, it was the best. And if I would have gotten what I wanted, I probably would have, but I didn't. So it was that was the thing about me. It was either this or I'm going to college. I didn't want to think about it. So But now looking back, it was the best decision for me to go to school. It was the best decision.
Absolutely, it was, right? Because look what it did. It set you up, and it gave you an opportunity to play at the next level and to hone your skills, to perfect your craft, and to, become even better than what you were. What was it like the first time you walked out onto the diamond at Tiger Stadium?
I remember it. It was the first time was in the fall. It was a fall ball game against Western Carolina. Nervous as all get out. I'm used to, we got a few hundred at Troup County, but it was nothing. Even this was fall ball. We still had maybe 1,500. The first time playing in front of this many people. So I was a freshman starting at second, and this was just the fall. So it was very, very nerve-wracking, but it ended up, being very fun. And I still remember my first hit, first game of the season against Georgia Southern. I hit a triple to right center, and I just remember the chill bumps going through my body. I remember how nervous I was in that at bat, and ever since then, I haven't really turned back. But that was the first time that was the first feeling of me being, at Plainsman Park.
So throughout your collegiate career, you had some ups and downs. When things were not going exactly the way that you wanted them to go, what is it that you found yourself doing to get out of that cycle, to break that cycle of struggling and to get back on track? Was it, your faith? Was it, getting into the batting cage? Was it taking more ground balls? Was it conversations with your mother and father, with your friends, with your coaches? Was it a combination? What was it that helped you find your way out of the slumps, if you will?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me that I was doing in college, but I think that now I'm in pro ball, I learned what exactly I was doing. It's a combination of a little bit of both, a little bit of things that you just said. It was, it was getting the cages, but the biggest thing for me was I got away from it. Baseball could be so hard. It's so much that you can get caught up in it a lot. It's every day. And I think for me, making the game the hobby and the interest that it was when I was little, instead of making it my life, I think that's when I learned to flip it. And that's when things started to get a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'm going 0 for 10. Maybe I hadn't had a hit in 2 games. Well, I used to be like, okay, I need to do this. I need to get in the cages, which I do. Don't get me wrong. Which I do. I get in the cages. I need to talk about this. I need to do this. I need to do that. All I would do was I would go to sleep thinking about baseball. I would wake up thinking about baseball. And next thing you know, it's just a continued cycle, and it just take over me. I think for me, getting away and remembering that baseball doesn't define you kind of helps you get through those times a little bit as well. Not saying you got to run away from it. You can't.
Right.
You don't run away from it. You don't run away from problems. You still put the work in. But at the end of the day, once you put your work in, the work is done.
So it's sort of like in the movie with Kevin Costner, for the love of the game, where he says, clear the mechanism, right?
Yes.
And you just kind of block out that noise and you get into that tunnel, and it's a single focus. Is that a fair? Listen, I've never played collegiate baseball. I'm never going to play Major League Baseball. But, one of the questions that I've always wanted to ask a professional Major League Baseball player is, how do you block out that noise, the chaos, everything that's going on around you in order to be able to perform at an optimal level?
Sean, I had this new saying that I've been saying this year, and I think it kind of goes great into the answer that I'm going to give you. It's trusting your training. So we do all this training, we do all this work, we play all these games. We start baseball in February, we don't end to October. I mean, we're literally 6-7 months out of the year. We are playing baseball and we're hitting every day. We're fielding every day. We're throwing every day. Trust. So why would I not trust my training? I do all this training for what? For me to go out there and just not trust it. And I think if I can go out there and just trust what I've been working on, what my coaches have been telling me, what I think was going to work, and what I know it has worked, that when I go out there and it's 20,000 people or however many years, whatever situation, game 7, 3-2, 2 outs, I can slow it down, block it out, because I know what if I just trust my training, trust what I've been doing and what I know can work, then it'll take care of itself. Then if I'm in the box, hey, what I've been working on, trust it. If it works, you're going to give yourself the best opportunity for you to be successful. That's how I think you can block out the noise. If you don't have a good working technique or working environment, then maybe you are going to be sped up. You are going to have the noise because you have nothing to fall back on. You have nothing to trust. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, and that's
So that training ties directly into muscle memory.
Yes.
You know, you training your brain and getting your brain acclimated to the big game situations, right?
For sure. Yeah. I mean that 3-2 2 out in game 7 is the same count as it is on June whatever day game on a Tuesday. It's the same situation. So why not make it so much? It is bigger, but it's internally, it's the same pitch, it's the same swing, it's the same count that you've done thousands of times already this year. You know what I'm saying? So
no, I'm with you. So why internalize it? Why create more stress on yourself than what you have to? Yeah, it's the big game, but at the end of the day, it's just the game.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, it's just a game. It's what you've been doing. Trust your training. Trust what you've been working on all year for this one moment, and go out there and compete. All
right. So now we've come through your collegiate career, which was absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, we've gone through one draft process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my Boston Red Sox, who continuously break my heart, had an opportunity to draft you prior to you going to college. And as much as I would have loved to see you in a Red Sox uniform, because I know what your career is going to be, you made the best decision. Hands down, you made the best decision. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you were my son, I would have encouraged you, go to college, get that education. You never know what's going to happen, you know, during a game, you know, off season, whatever it is that could, you know, negatively impact your future. But, you know, you get that education, it's always with you, right?
For sure.
Okay. So you go through your collegiate career, and now the draft is here.
Yeah.
For the second time. All right. So if I mention the name Jed Fabian, does that have any meaning to you?
If I'm thinking about the same guy, that's the guy from Florida who went to the Boston Red Sox.
Well, who was drafted by the Boston Red Sox and never signed with them.
That is right. Yeah, I forgot he never signed. He did get drafted by him, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of set the stage here, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because, you know, I've heard from some reliable sources, but, you know, sometimes reliable sources become unreliable. And in this game, for me, it's all about reliability. So I want to hear directly from you if I'm close, if I'm spot on, or if I've missed the mark. So draft day comes, and you are notified once again by the Boston Red Sox that they have interest in you, and that if a certain ball player is not available at a certain spot, they're going to draft you. And unfortunately for me and all of New England and Red Sox Nation around the world, the spot comes up and this individual, Jed Fabian, is still available. Now, you're still available at this point. Now, I'm going from memory here, but were you the 42nd pick overall?
I was 42nd. Yes, I was the 42nd.
God, I'm good.
You're pretty good, yeah.
I'm good. All right. So you get this phone call, and I just want to ask you, as an athlete, you get this phone call from the Boston Red Sox saying, hey, Ryan, we love you. We're interested. We want to draft you. But if this other guy is still available, we may have to go that direction. How did that make you feel? Sincerely.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. The Red Sox personally then called. My agent called. So
Your agent, okay.
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. They called me and was like, "Hey, like the Red Sox are looking. They're looking at here, but if I didn't know who it was at the time, so I didn't know who it was. They just say if a certain player is off the board, then they're going to get you. So I'm like, okay. So I think that kind of helped because I didn't know exactly who it was, and it's just one of those things where you have no control. So I didn't really let it. I didn't know what was going on. I really didn't. Going through this process, like I knew I had where the range I was going, but when you tell that story, it didn't really affect me just because I didn't understand. Like, yeah, if this guy's here, okay, to me they were just going to take him. They were going to take him anyway. That's the way I felt, and it was one of those things where I didn't feel bad because I knew wherever team I was going to, I knew I was gonna give them all, and I knew that team was gonna be the team that they got success.
So you're such a class act, and that's what I love about you. Because I will tell you, myself, my cousin Jeff, and the rest of us that were watching the draft and were freaking out because Ryan Bliss was still available at the Red Sox pick at number 42. We're like, they're taking him. They're taking him. And then all of a sudden, this guy, Jed Fabian's name came up, and we're all like, wait, what?
Yep.
And they draft this guy, and he never signs with them.
Never signs, yeah.
And then Arizona, who their front office is made up of former Boston Red Sox executives who were smart because they left the Red Sox organization.
Mm-hmm.
They look at the draft board and they go, holy crap, Ryan Bliss is on the board and we're going to get him. So you were drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks. How did that feel? Can you just explain for people that will never go through a draft, who will never be a part of something that spectacular? What did it feel like to get a call from your agent and or from the general manager or the president of baseball operations from the Diamondbacks saying, congratulations, Ryan, you're a Diamondback?
So I don't think a lot of people know. You actually know you're getting drafted before it comes on the TV. So that's one of the things. So your agent calls and he's like, hey, D-backs, they're going to draft you. X amount of money, signing bonus, yes or no. You basically yes or no. And I was like, yeah, duh. So you kind of know. So when I got the call, I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. But the feeling you get seeing your name come across the TV on whatever draft day, whatever sport it is, the feeling is so breathtaking. It's chilling. You feel it going from your toes all the way up to your ears. It's amazing. It is what you've been dreaming of, to hear your name being called and knowing that you're going to a whole different new lifestyle, and the lifestyle that you want to live. And it is one of the most spectacular things that I think you could do in any sport, obviously. In any sport, is getting that, seeing your name and getting that call coming across the TV. It is pretty surreal.
So when your name came across the screen, Ryan Bliss, Arizona Diamondbacks, did you cry?
I personally didn't cry because all I could think of was it's time to go to work.
Did Rhonda or Isaiah cry?
I know for a fact my mom did. I know for a fact she did. My dad may have. He didn't show me. He may have behind closed doors, but yeah, I know my mom did, and I'm sure my dad did behind closed doors, but I didn't see him personally.
So you're drafted by the Diamondbacks. You say to yourself, it's time to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I happened to be out on the West Coast and found out that you were in Arizona playing a game. And I said to my wife, I'm not coming home. I'm taking an extra day and I'm going straight to Phoenix. And I'm going to go see Ryan play in, I think at the time you were in high A ball, if I'm not mistaken, when I came and saw you.
Yes.
So you were in high A ball. I got a chance to come out there and, left you alone other than when I first got there, said, hello, how are you? And, let you do your job. Because at the end of the day, no matter how big of a fan I am, I have to respect the fact that this is your job. And, I can't have people coming to my place of work and being like, hey, Sean, that's your place of work. So you play high A ball. You matriculated from high A to double A pretty quickly.
Yeah. Within I was in high A all of last year, which seems like since from this year, we'll get to it, but it seems like that was 4 years ago. But all last year I was up in Hillsboro, Oregon in high A ball for the whole year. So so to see my progression, some would say that it is pretty quick, and it's been a blessing ever since, and I'm just happy, continue to learn each step by step.
So you start raking in double A ball. Incredible stats. I mean, you're 360, 370 batting average. I mean, you're raking, man. You're hitting for average, you're hitting for power. Your defensive play is outstanding. And you get the call that you're going from double A to triple A, right? One step below the bigs.
Mm-hmm.
How did that feel? Because, I mean, I know getting drafted is a spectacular feeling, but now all of a sudden you matriculate pretty quickly from high A to double A to now you get the call you're going to triple A.
Yeah. My experience was kind of different because I was headed to Seattle, and the day I was heading to Seattle, they told me. So I was so caught up going to Seattle that it wasn't like I'm going to AAA, because I had to worry about the futures game first. So that experience was definitely different. But on that plane ride back, I was like, oh, I'm not going back to AA. I'm like, I'm literally one call away. I am whatever happens up there away. I am one call. I'm literally, like I said, I'm one call away from getting to the bigs. And that right there is what anybody can ask for. And to see the hard work pay off it's been tremendous.
So you talked about going to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
So Jerry DiPolo is I think he's one of the most underrated GMs in the game. Guy is incredibly smart, has made some incredible deals. So a call comes in at the trade deadline, and Seattle says, we want to make a trade. Yeah. And we are looking at a couple of your minor league baseball players and possibly somebody who's on the big team right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know you had a lot of friends in the Diamondback organization. So you get a call from your agent, or you get a call from somebody within within the Diamondback organization saying, hey, Ryan, you're being traded to Seattle.
Yeah.
What went through your mind?
Dang, I got to move again. That's the first thing. I had just got to Reno that week, and I had just unpacked everything, settled in. Like, finally, I get to, because when I got sent up to Reno, I met the team in Vegas and then went straight from Vegas to Round Rock. So I had literally my whole closet and baseball stuff just in the hotel. I had everything. So when we finally got back to Reno, Nevada, which is AAA for the D-backs. I finally got into the house that they're providing, and I had just unpacked. I was like, okay, good. I got back, settled. I'm ready to go. And I remember it was a Monday on the off day after a Sunday game. I had just finished eating lunch, sitting outside about to enjoy my day, and I get a call from our farm director, and I already knew what it was about. It was the trade deadline, and he doesn't call me unless it's something. I mean, why is he calling me on the Monday off day that is trade deadline? So I knew exactly what happened, and he called, and he was like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I'm eating lunch. Like, come on, tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. And he basically was like, hey, we just traded you. And he didn't tell me who for like 5 minutes. He just said we traded you. He kept saying we love you, and we had to make the right decision. I was like, okay, where am I going? And he told me Seattle. I was like, that is ironic because I was just in Seattle not even 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. And it was crazy too because at the All-Star game, my family and I were talking about how much we love Seattle, how beautiful it was, and like how beautiful the stadium was, and this is a sick place, this is a cool place, and yada yada. Just talking because it was a great experience. And then I get traded there, so that feeling was, it was amazing. Going to a new organization, knowing that you have a better opportunity here to progress and achieve the goals that you want. It was something that anybody could ask for, and it was a breathtaking experience.
So you're talking about being in Seattle for the All-Star game, and I want to make sure everybody understands you were selected to play in the Futures game at the All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
That is such a small number of minor league baseball players that get that opportunity to showcase their skills at such a massive event like the All-Star game for Major League Baseball. Because there's other scouts that are going to be there, other Major League Baseball players that are going to be there. When you got that call, and I have to be honest, we knew way before it was ever announced because my wife and your mama are good friends.
Uh-huh.
But we all had to keep our mouths super glued.
We had to keep it closed, yeah.
We did. We had to keep it closed.
Which was the toughest part, honestly. It was the toughest part.
Yeah, tough part. But what was it like getting that call saying, Ryan, you've been on this roller coaster ride. You've matriculated through the system, high A ball, double A ball. You are now being called to play in a Futures game at the All-Star break. How did that feel? What was that like?
That was amazing. It never even crossed my mind the type of year I was having that I could even go. I mean, because I had struggled the year before. It was one of those things where I thought just the top prospects went, and that's just how it went. And I was cool with that. I was just happy that I was playing really good baseball again, and I felt like myself. I was having fun. That's really all that's all I really cared about. So hearing that from my manager at the time in Double A, hearing that I was invited to the Futures game, I was like, oh my, my hard work may be paying off. This is the first, I guess accomplishment or recognition, I would say. First recognition that has came to me, and it was amazing. I was honestly very shocked. This was the one time where I was caught off guard. I had no idea. My dad and I were just actually talking about it a couple of days before that. I was like, I don't think I'll go, just because it is what it is. That's what I thought.
Right.
And but some people had some other intentions.
Yeah, man. First recognition as a pro baseball player, being invited to a Futures game. I mean, you're talking about people like Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter. I mean, some of the all-time greats who have played in these Futures games. And I think the road is clearly paved for what lies ahead for you. Before I get into the last topic, I want to go back for a moment because I'd be remiss if I didn't ask this question. You spent a little time with Richie Barber.
Yeah, a lot of time.
He was A lot of time with Richie.
Yeah, a lot of time.
Just going to ask, what kind of hitting coach was Richie?
He's a hitter. He's a hitting coach. If that makes sense, he's a hitting coach. It was now that I'm in pro ball, and I've been around a couple of hitting coaches. He's a hitting coach. He not only teaches the swing itself, but he teaches approach and how to. Hey, we're going to see this pitch. We're going to do this with this pitch instead of just saying, "All right, we're going to swing here. Make sure your angles are here. Make sure your foot's turned." I mean, yeah, he would talk about the swing, but like I said, as a hitting coach, you need the other side too. You need the approach. You need the mental side, and maybe I was too young to really, really understand. But now that I look back at it, he talked a lot about that. And he taught me some approach mechanism that I still kind of use today. That I think about, and I had to have a baseline, and it's some of it started right there with Coach Richie. So he was, like I said, really good hitting coach to me.
Yeah, I've always believed it, and I'm not just saying this because he's my brother-in-law. I've always believed that Richie could have coached in the majors. He would have made a phenomenal hitting coach, and probably still could someday be a tremendous asset to a Major League Baseball team as a hitting coach. Because
never. Yeah, I mean, he really could. The way it's simple too. It's like maybe 5 words, and you're like, okay, that clicks. It doesn't take a lot for him to get his point across.
Because it's his approach, right?
Yes.
It's his approach. You could have some hitting coaches who can, talk in circles and speak in tongues and all these different languages, and they never connect with the ball player. They never connect with the athlete. They never connect with the man. But you have somebody who takes a simplistic approach, to your point, gives 5 words, and next thing you know, it's changed everything in that player's game from a hitting perspective.
Literally. I remember one story. I don't know why this one story sticks out, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I don't know. It was high school. I probably was 0 for 4 or whatever, and was mad at myself or whatever. And I remember after the game going into the cages to hit off the tee, and it was just me. I've been there for a couple minutes, whatever, and I was just trying to figure it out. And I guess Richie heard somebody swinging. He comes in there and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "I got to figure this out. Got to swing." And I remember this. He was like, he literally said, "Sometimes the best idea is to not overthink." And he just walked out like a ghost. It was like a movie. I remember it. And I just sat there thinking, I was like, maybe I should just not worry too much. And that's probably where some of it started, what we talked about earlier.
Right.
Because I think it was maybe one game. And at the time I was stressing. But it kind of made me think, this is baseball. I'm going to play tomorrow or whatever that time the next day. But yet little stuff like that, he connected with you. He cared about you. And it only took literally a couple words for him to get his point across. And I love that about him. And he was, on top of all that, amazing BP thrower. Top BP thrower.
He's one of my favorite people. And if there's any Major League Baseball teams listening to this podcast right now, there is a fantastic hitting coach who is down here in LaGrange, Georgia, who is available and deserves to be in the pros. All right, that's all I'm going to talk about Richie Barber, because if I keep talking about him too much, his head won't fit through the door.
Yeah, it would be too big.
All right, get too big. All right, so my last topic that I want to get into with you, Ryan, is you're in AAA right now. Mm-hmm. The Mariners had a great season. They really did. They were in it, all the way through. In looking forward to 2024, and I never want to put an athlete into a tough situation, but there's a reason why you were traded by the Mariners. Any indication as to what the plan is for you in 2024? Did you get an invite to spring training? Are there plans for you to be the shortstop of the future, the second baseman of the future, because I know you play both positions extremely well. What are the plans for Ryan Bliss in Seattle?
So I don't know truly the plans, and I probably, if the season just ended, I'm still playing in the fall league, so a lot of things are still happening. I think we'll know more as the offseason continues, but hopefully, the end goal for me is to get an invitation to spring training and just be in a situation where I know I can compete for whatever role that they want me to do. If that's playing second, I just want to be able to have a chance to go compete for that job, and whatever happens after that. But I just want the opportunity in spring training to go out there and be able to compete. So we'll see. 2024 could be very special, and I'm just going to take it day by day and see what happens.
All right, I lied to you. I have one more topic, because if I don't broach this topic, I know what's going to happen.
All right.
And I don't want the wrath of Rhonda. Your mother is one of the most special people that I know. She's this dynamic personality. She lights up a room, and she is larger than life. I'm a huge fan, but your mother, no doubt, hands down, has to be your biggest fan. How much of an influence does your mother have on your everyday life and in your professional life in keeping you grounded?
Yeah, she's amazing. She's awesome. She's been there since day one, and she'll always be there. I remember the long 2-hour trips up to Atlanta during travel balls at 8 a.m. in the morning. It would be me and her. My dad would be right there as well. It'll be all of us, and we'll just go. And she's somebody I talk to every day. Call if something's going wrong, or if I just feel off, I give her a call. It gives me a sense of home, or it gives me a sense of just that's that mother. That's the mother in her, and she's been awesome, amazing person. I love her so much.
All right, man. So look, I wish you nothing but the best, because you are the best. You're a great young man. Going all the way back to our first meeting, sitting in a chair at a nail salon, getting pedicures, talking baseball, not realizing really just how spectacular a journey you were about to embark on.
Yeah.
And what's been amazing for me is your willingness to remember where you come from, and to be willing to always respond to the little people out there. And I think that's what's going to allow you to become one of the household names in Seattle. Or if by chance, I don't know, my Red Sox wake up and recognize, holy crap, what did we do in missing out on one of the most spectacular upcoming young baseball players who could fill some desperately needed holes that we have? Look, I don't want to see you get traded again. I want to see you have a spectacular career in one place. But if I could see you get traded to the Red Sox, I'm all for it. They got to get a general manager. They got to get a president of baseball operations. And what's been really interesting is how many people have actually voluntarily taken themselves out of contention.
Yeah.
GM or president of baseball operations job. I mean, this went from, in my opinion, a world-class, first-class organization to one now that, is at the bottom of the barrel because they don't want to spend the money. They are too quick to point the finger at everyone other than themselves as an ownership team for, preventing, their GMs and their presidents of baseball operations from doing what needs to get done to put a first-class, world-class championship team on the field.
Yeah, I've actually seen that. A couple of people have actually said, no, I actually don't want the job, which is surprising because it's one of the well-known MLB teams, organizations around. It's the Boston Red Sox. I mean, who doesn't know the Boston Red Sox? So that's the crazy part to me. And like I said, and to say that again, it's the Boston Red Sox. So I'm sure they're going to be fine. Like I said, and you mentioned it. Maybe business is business. We'll see what happens. That's what everybody's like, how's it? Oh, we hate that you left. I was like, hey, business is business. I'm a Mariner now. And we'll see what happens. We're going to ride this wave.
Well, I'm excited to see you. I hope I'll be one of the first 5 or 10 phone calls or text messages that you'll send out when that invite to spring training comes, because I promise you, are they down in Goodyear, the Mariners, or where?
We're in Peoria.
Oh, in Peoria.
Yeah, so like 15 minutes from Goodyear, over that way. But yes, we're over in Peoria.
Well, I promise you, you get that invite to spring training, I want to know, because Jill and I promise you, are coming out there and we're going to spend some time and watch you play some spring ball and get you ready to be in the majors next year.
All right, you will be. I will send you a text message hot whenever I get that call. If I get that call, we'll see.
It's coming. It's coming. Keep the faith, my friend.
All right.
I want to thank my very special guest, Ryan Bliss, for taking time out of his day on a Sunday to sit down with the Georgia Gentleman podcast and to kind of rehash a little bit about life, to explore family, faith, his journey to Major League Baseball, and dare I say one day, immortality. I think Cooperstown will be calling one day, and the future is extremely bright for this young man. So, Ryan, thank you so much, my friend. Great to see you. I wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors.
Yes, thanks for having me, Sean. This was amazing. Amazing to talk to you. And, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
All right. To everybody out there who's tuned in, logged on, and hung out with us just for a little while, thank y'all so much. I'll be back next week with another fantastic interview. We've got some great Hollywood actors. We have some great philanthropists, professional athletes, and just great human beings in general getting ready to come on the podcast in the coming weeks. So until then, remember, be good to yourself, but more importantly, y'all be good to each other. Take care.